Nigeria continues to experience massive medical brain drain as medical doctors leave the shores of the country annually. This morning, we're discussing ending massive migration of medical doctors in Nigeria. Guest joins us via Zoom. He is Dr. Tangod Idamuko, the program's officer, West Africa Civil Society Institute, WAXI. Good morning, Dr. Tangod. Can you hear us clearly?
Hello, good morning. Yes, loud and clear.
Thank you
Please,
for
I'm not a
joining
doctor
us.
and I'm not yet a doctor, please. Thank you very much.
Point taken. Point taken.
Yeah.
So, how critical is this issue of brain drain, medical brain drain in Nigeria? I mean, amidst other national challenges, do we have a crisis on our hands? What are your thoughts?
Yes, please. We really have a big challenge when it comes to the health sector because when you talk about health sector is one of the important sectors that we must not neglect because it deals with humanity. It deals with human life, and the problem has been a very thing that we need to tackle as Nigerians. And this problem has always caused and continue to cause an issue where medical doctors, find a means of greener pasture because the truth remains that it's not passion that these medical practitioners will eat. They need motivation for them to do their work, and this is actually leading them to leave the system and as well find greener pastures in other countries of the world that can give them a better life. So it is really a very big problem to us as Nigerians.
So, how do you see this trend impacting on Nigeria's healthcare system or ecosystem? How do you see it impact the healthcare infrastructure, say, in the next 5 years, if this trend continues?
The truth of the matter is that if this trend continues, Nigeria will continue to lose our best hands, will continue to lose our best brains um, to other countries. Because just like what I said, these practitioners, they are not going to eat passion. They have families. And by extension and the area will, the kind of the side will live at or the region will live at, you don't just take care of your immediate family, you also have extended people who are around you that you're also going to take care of. So with all these things happening, will continue to lose our practitioners, will continue to lose the masses will continue to lose trust in the government because everything boils down on the masses because the masses are the one suffering this because most of the politicians we see today, you can see, sorry to say that even our immediate president even died in another man's country after 8 years of rule. So no medical team or no, is it that there's no medical doctors or hospital who can take care of him? But if you look at all these things, you find out that it will continue to tell on a common man and common Nigerians who will not have the money or who will not have the wherewithal to fly out or go to a neighboring country to sort for medical attention. But the truth remains that for how long shall we continue that this necessary evil will continue in our system? So if it continues this way, I fear that we will continue to be where we are, if not worse. Thank you very much.
All right. So, what, in your opinion, what are the biggest push factors driving? Of course, aside the economic reasons, what are the other other huge push factors that are currently driving our medical and health practitioners outside of the country?
Okay, thank you very much. One of the things is that, it's always said that politics controls all human endeavors, all sector, economy, educations, and health. Now, the truth remains that one of the causes has been the political sphere because every policy or everything rises and falls under leadership. Leaders, the governors, the president, they will always tell us we don't have money. There is no money. try and manage, but you see their convoy having about millions and thousands of people in convoy, and they tell you how much they spend in convoy. They will tell you continue to manage. They will tell you they are using 4 point something billion to set up cameras in their offices. So all these things, there's what they call bushfire approach, and all these things can, you know, cause something. You will tell us, okay, just like you are beating a child and you tell the child not to cry, you tell the child be calming down, everything is going to be right, everything is going to be fine, but the child is seeing you spending extravagantly. That will motivate the child to seek for another means. So the political sphere, and as well, um, the trainings these medical doctors are gaining. Now, if you let's look at what other countries might be doing or what they are doing, you find out that there are a lot of scholarships ongoing, not only in the medical practice, medical sphere. You find out that can we just pinpoint any scholarship that is on in this country, apart from maybe philanthropists who are coming together to just give a few scholarships? But you see, most of us, even the Japa syndrome we are talking about, most of us who decide to go abroad, do scholarship, you have the well-known scholarship of like Chevening Commonwealth scholarship, that scholarship in different countries, Swedish scholarship and all that. These are governments of the country giving scholarships to their citizens and also international community, because they just believe that this international community coming into their system will also add value. But in our country, we have federal scholarship board that doesn't do anything. At the end of the year, we don't have anything, but there is a budget for all these persons. Another thing we should also look at is the infrastructure. Let's go to our world today. Let's go to our states today. Let's go to our federal medical centers today and find out that the level of our equipment is very, very low and weak. So this you can't expect a doctor who has trained and all those kind of things will come and use substandard platform or substandard instrument to treat um, uh, um, a patient. So these are the things that actually causing this problem in our country that we need to set. And everything, like I said, rises and falls in leadership. So if we can actually set up the leadership aspect of it, the leaders we do the basic thing they need to do in setting up the medical things that's supposed to be. I am telling you, no need of anyone leaving the country, but everybody is leaving because of greener pasture, because no one or nobody is going to eat passion or is going to eat uh, uh, um, just a thank you. So that is the way we need to work on that. And as well, their safety as well. These medical doctors, how are these persons treated? How are they, the enumerations you give them, the motivational factors you give them? Let's assume, let me digress a bit. Let's use the police, for instance. We always say police are doing this, they are collecting bribes and all those kind. But the truth of the matter is that the structure is not there for them. Let's assume we have a structure where the basic salary of a constant is something like, is an international standard of how a minimum wage should be. Now you now say, after your active service, a 5 years active service, you are going to have a three-bedroom flat to yourself. Your children will have free school to attend. Your family will be covered, and not. Then, if you catch any police officer collecting any money, that will send the person home. And any police officer having this motivation in mind, my children are attending free schools, I'm going to have this after my service, that will motivate the person not to even indulge in all these illegal acts. And that same applies to medical doctors as well. So that is the best way we can solve this. Thank you very much.
All right, in your earlier submission, you quoted John Maxwell when you said everything rises and falls on leadership. Now, to get the leadership that we all are craving for, how, in your own opinion, because you're in the development space, how do you expect that we get the leadership that we are all craving for from diaspora? I mean, if we are all saying it's because we don't have a leadership we can trust and everybody's, leaving the shores of Nigeria, or when will it ever get better? how are we able to get that leadership that we're all craving for from diaspora if all medical doctors relocate to America? How do you see things changing?
Okay, thank you very much for that question, because the truth of the matter is that we copy the Constitution of the United States of America, yes, but have we actually copied also the electoral system? So we try as much as possible to just get things that favors us in a way, and all those things that we think that will keep us right, we try to throw it away. Now, let's start with the electoral system. Can't we have an independent body? Let's forget about what is on paper. We say we have INEC, Independent Electoral Commission. Can't we have a means of having the INEC chairman to be an independent means? Now, the rumor going on in Abuja is the current INEC chairman, the president has already mandated him to go on leave because his tenure is going to expire by December. And by virtue of that, the president is also going to nominate and give to the National Assembly a list of persons that will be made the INEC chairman for the next 5 years. Tell me, if you appoint me, because you can't tell me all these things, there's some underground work going on, and maybe there will be some trade by barter and all those kind of things, and finally I'm being made the INEC chairman. I will always want to reciprocate back. I always want to, the person who appointed me, I will always be loyal. But if we can have a electoral system whereby the INEC chairman is elected in an independent means, and how can that be done? We have a cadre of civil service. The president must not necessarily know who supposed to be the next INEC chairman. The next INEC chairman should come based on the rules of conduct of what we have in what they call it in the civil service commission. That is how this person should come. Then during elections, okay, let's see what what we are into now. You place the minimum standard of contesting for president, contesting for governor to be WAEC. Let's check it out. WAEC, why you let's assume that someone that emerges, okay, the former president, that they are looking at whether he took his WAEC or he didn't write his WAEC university. They're even looking whether he went to the university or not, even the current president. And this person is the person is going to be elected to be in charge of parastatals, to be in charge of ministers, to be in charge of doctors, medical practitioners, accountants. Mention them. How will you expect the system to be better? How will you expect this thing? I just believe that we have to raise the standard. Yeah, education is not everything, but we need to raise the standard of the electoral process, and the election we should be conducted. We have gone beyond the situation where we cannot upload or pop out results as people are voting. But we keep on telling us IREV is this, IREV is that, there's a glitch, there's that and all that. But all of us watch how Trump and the election went, and everything was transmitted in real time. Everybody was seeing who was leading, who was, and all this. If we can employ this, I am telling you, we are going to get the best hand. And because of that, the best hands are running away from the system, because they just believe that going into the system, you are just going to waste all your resources. At the end of the day, you are not going to do anything. And that is why for us in WACSI, West African Civil Society Institute, we build the capacities of CSOs in Nigeria and West African countries, so that they can advocate for all this, because these are the way we can set things right. If we can get the leadership right, every other things will fall in pleasant places. Thank you very much.
All right, you have touched on a lot of issues, especially those that have to do with constitutional matters. Question is, are you calling for a constitutional overhaul? And if you are, I want to also point you back to my earlier question. How can doctors migrating outside of Nigeria, how can they, being in diaspora, call for a constitutional overhaul or call for the right things to be done? That's my question. There's a disconnect somewhere, and we need to find a connection. How can this, okay, let me use our local parlance, the Japa syndrome, effect the necessary changes we need to see in Nigeria? you called for, due process, you called for constitutional review. So tell me how being in diaspora can affect the changes we need in Nigeria.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that. The truth of the matter is that those in diaspora are already having their good life. And once you start having your good life, they will always say, man by nature is individualistic and selfish. It takes extra move for these persons to come together to advocate for it. And I don't know whether you follow the trend that happened some 2 years ago or 3 years ago, where one Nigerian who had opportunity to japa to UK, where he was interviewed by BBC, and then BBC were asking, what is it that Nigerians are? Most of them are moving out, and another. The guy states categorically that most of them coming to the UK are not coming to study. They are just coming for looking for greener pasture and all that. And BBC just captured it that Nigerians are coming. Once they come after their education, they are sorry, they don't even finish their education. They abandon it and then leave the masters. And that was why they started tightening their immigration visas and all those stuff like that. Now, the way they can do it is by taking the next step and believing that in as much as you are in that country, you are not going to stay there forever. Some of them go as far as getting their citizenship, yes, but we need to be patriotic at this moment because directly or indirectly, all of us are involved in politics. And the way is for these persons, they are there and they've already witnessed how the system work. Now, through the CSOs we have, through the coalitions and all those kind of things, they can push for the National Assembly to inculcate this in our in our in our constitutions, where this infrastructure can be fixed, because the truth remains that if we don't fix all these things, this will continue to run. So there must be a coalition. There has to come together, but coming together, I don't really see the possibility, because the truth remains that they will always say that once you start eating, you're already committed. So, and once, because most of them are there, they're already committed to the country they are. What they are now focused is building myself, building my family, and they have this mentality that I'm not the one that will make Nigeria better. At least I'm having my better life, I'm having my good life. Let me move on and all those kind of things. So, but with coalition, and that is when patriotism comes and say this is our country. We can't allow our country to continue to go this way. They can continue to push from international community aspect, and things will continue to get better. By doing what? They can also write to the UN, stopping all the politicians from coming to those, whether UK, US, anywhere, for medical checkups. You see what happened, the former governor of Kogi State, what's the name? That's EFCC seized his passport. He's demanding EFCC to give it to him, that he want to go for medical checkup abroad and all that. You stayed 8 years, you cannot provide a medical team or medical infrastructure that can take care of you in Nigeria. So this, if we can stop these politicians from coming to do anything medicals abroad, I believe that we're going to do it. And I'm also part of the people that are calling for constitution overhaul, because if you look at the constitution, you say we the people. But if I may ask you, were you consulted for this constitution to be made? No. This were most of the constitutions we are using were drafted from the decrees that were made during the 1966 military rule, 1979 military rules and all those stuff. So that is the truth. So I'm calling for it, and as well, the international community through the medical doctors abroad can come through that means to also fight against those things. So these are the ways I believe that they can also contribute their own quota. Thank you.
All right, so tell us a bit about WACC, your organization. How can organizations like yours build pressure for reforms that could put some sort of restrictions on, the rate at which doctors and medical professionals travel outside of the country?
All right, thank you very much. Our organization has been in existence 20 years now, And WACSI, West African Civil Society Institute, is a Ghanaian organization that was formed by OSF. So we don't have a particular person that has the organization. OSF is Open Society Foundation, just like where we have the Ford Foundation, MacArthur Foundations. So they just came together and believe that, okay, for these CSOs to perform better, for these CSOs to do well, for these CBOs and all those kind of things, their capacity need to be built. So the OSF now came together and formed a WACSI, West African Civil Society Institute, which office is in Accra, Ghana, and work in all West Africa, the 18 countries in West Africa. What we do majorly is to strengthen. We don't engage directly. We are the one pushing the CSOs to go in advocacy and dialogues. So we are the one building the capacities of uh, um, these organizations, the CBOs. The CBO means a community-based organization, the CSO, civil society organization, through trainings and other things. For instance, we have a program we are currently running called CSR Hub. Is a program that runs for 5 years where we are training CSOs and CBOs on regulatory compliance, because we just believe that you can't just be holding government accountable and you're not holding yourself accountable. So we also train them on the regulatory compliance, where they themselves had to be compliant of the law, because there are some rules and regulations as a CSO that you must follow. We also train them on internal leadership structures and governance. We also train them on resource mobilization. You know that most CSOs and most CBAs, their problem has always been funding, and most funding they get is from abroad, and some of them had huge from USID, which is now blocked, and they are finding it difficult. So we also train them on alternate financing, on how they can come up and come with other alternative means of resourcing so that they can sustain themselves. More or less, we are more an institute that is interested in the sustainability of CSOs, because we just believe that through them, the achievement of this thing we are yearning for can be achieved. So we also train them the last pillar on the digital protections and digital rights and all that, because once you are fighting a government or anything, they can sponsor, they can be a state sponsored act for against your organization, to target your website, to target your email or stuff, just to pull you down and all that. So we also train them on that aspect, and
Yeah.
that is what we are into as well. Thank you very much.
All right. Finally, before we let you go, if you were to advise the Nigerian government, what would be the most urgent intervention you would recommend to restrict or reduce, at least, the level of medical brain drain in Nigeria?
The first thing I will encourage them is motivation factor. And when I talk about the motivation factor, I am talking about the remuneration of these medical doctors and their allowances. This should be considered. Also, bring forth on giving this system not only medical practitioners, but there should be a scholarship in the educational system where these persons can actually come and train, not only being trained in Nigeria, but trained in a well equipped environment. Because you can't be a medical doctor and they are teaching you a particular something, and then you don't even know, you've not even seen it in your entire life. So I believe that let the government, whether the state or the federal government, should consider these two basic things. So if we can work on our education in making sure there's a scholarship for these medical doctors, and also the enumeration, make sure this enumeration covers their allowances and all that, and makes them comfortable. So whosoever that is being found wanting will face the law appropriately. And if I'm the governor of my state, what I'm going to do is to make sure that you give back to the state. I'll give a free scholarship to a medical student. Come and do your course, do everything. Everything will be provided to you, and you must give back to the state at least 5 or 6 years before you think of living or going anywhere on your own. And if peradventure you want to leave, that means you are owing the state. So indirectly, through that means, we are going to solve the problem of uh, migration of medical doctors outside the country.
All right, thank you so much. Thank God, Idamoku, for your insight on this subject matter.
Thank you very much for having me, please.
All right, New Day continues after now. Stay with us.